Welcome to my Mounjaro journey weekly update. Coming up, I'm struggling. My moobs are going, but my belly's growing. What have I been up to diet and exercise wise, and what has that done to the scales? Tips, advice, questions, queries and more in our community news. But first, let's get straight on into the Waffle Section. Howdy to you all and welcome back if you've been here before. If you don't know me, I'm Phil. So starting this week's Waffle Section, I just want to briefly mention what I touched on last week. I am really struggling with 5 milligrams. I've had hunger again all week. Made some bad food choices. I've got 7.5 milligrams coming up this weekend and I can't wait to get on it. But I've made some bad food choices, which I'll cover more in the weekly update. But I've also been drinking a fair bit more as well, which has probably had an impact on those bad food choices. Now, I want to start this by saying I don't think I've ever been a stressful person. I don't feel stressed. I don't ever feel like I'm impacted by stress. And maybe I am, and that's a problem. And I'll come back to that shortly. But yeah, now, I've always been a big drinker. I always used to be a big drinker. I still can be when I need to be, or want to be. When I was 16 through to my early 20s, I was out Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, Tuesday, Thursday, usually in my teens. That died off a little as I got a little bit older, more responsibilities. Into my 20s, then into my early 30s, I was drinking 2-3 evenings a week, usually heavily again on a Friday and Saturday with 1 or 2 through the week, but binge drinking again on a Friday and Saturday. You know, did that make me an alcoholic? I don't think it did. My partner was a little bit worried once we started living together about the amount I was drinking. And then that kind of died down as I got a little bit older and moved into my 30s. Especially as the kids came along and I got more responsibilities, that went to drinking usually once heavily on a Friday or Saturday. And then I've gone really long periods in my life over the last few years since kids have been born. I've not touched a drop. I think I've done a 6-month spell. I've done a 9-month spell. When I started Mounjaro, I was couple of months into not drinking. I went to Disneyland Paris, if you remember, without drinking. I had Christmas and New Year without touching a drop. I think I went around 9 months in total and I felt absolutely brilliant, the best I'd ever felt in my life, and I was still fairly heavy back then. But I felt absolutely brilliant, the impact of not drinking, the clarity that comes with it, and all kind of brilliant benefits that you don't even realise until you have a spell of not drinking. Yeah, it lasted around 9 months. The weight was coming off with Mounjaro, the channel was starting to grow, I had motivation for everything, anything at all. I was exercise, activities, doing these videos, the kids, had time and energy and everything. I was sleeping brilliantly. And then, yeah, I started drinking again around May time. If you've followed along on these videos, you'll know. If anything, it's crept up over the last couple of months, and especially over the last 3 to 4 weeks, it's really increased again to where I'm now probably having drinks 2 to 3 nights a week, especially a heavy one over the weekends. I've kept the heavier drinking to myself. I've not mentioned it or shared it on here, but I think I was ashamed. I didn't want to say to you, look, I'm failing with this, I'm struggling with this, I'm taking all these extra calories in. That's probably why my weight hasn't gone down as much. Obviously, I will cover this again in a minute, but yeah, I didn't want to be failing in front of all you. I'm struggling with food big time the last week or two, but more so with the drink over the last 3 or 4 weeks, as I've said. I've still been exercising, like I mentioned in last week's videos. My moves are reducing, like I said at the beginning of this video, and that's down to the arm exercise thing. I feel like I can see them going down, not much, but my belly's bloating with the booze again. It's Guinness I'm drinking, the odd bit of wine. I can see like this is coming back, and it wasn't there in the earlier videos. I can see it when I look at myself and see it in the mirror again. But back to the point of view about stress, I've got a few things that could be making me stressed. I don't feel stressed. My watches and they're telling me slightly different. I've got a higher stress level. Maybe I do suffer from it. I'm either blind to it or ignore it, as a lot of people probably do. But yeah, I think I've got a few things going on in work and things like that could be. I'm probably just making an excuse to drink. I generally probably am. But the point is, yeah, I don't want to be drinking. I don't enjoy it when I'm drinking. I'm so much better. I have so much of a better time when I'm not drinking. I think the drink has impacted me food choices immensely over the last few weeks. I'm making bad choice after bad choice while I'm on this ridiculously expensive and fantastic drug. And it was working unbelievably well before I started drinking again. So what am I going to do about it? I've realised it's an issue. I know I need to stop. It's time for another drinking break, I think. Like I said, I was on a 9-month drinking break when I started Mounjaro. I want to go back and see what happens. I've got a 40th this Saturday. Another excuse. I've got to stop drinking today. But I've got a 40th I'm going to all day and night Saturday. And that's going to be a heavy one. And I'm out. We're away next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Again, excuse, I don't have to drink, and I might not drink on my way. I've done it before. But I want to come off the booze again. I want to have a long, sustained break from alcohol. But the problem is I always end up feeling like I'm missing out on the fun, and then I start drinking again, and then I don't want to drink, and I stop. Then I feel like I'm missing out on the fun, and then I don't want to drink again, and I stop. It's just like one big vicious cycle. But yeah, maybe that is that an alcoholic. I don't feel like I'm an alcoholic. I'm really, the point of the video wasn't about me being an alcoholic. I just wanted to get across the fact that I've been keeping the amount I've been drinking away from you guys. It's, you know, and I feel really bad for doing that, but I need to get it off my chest and get it out there, you know. I want to see what happens when I stop drinking again with the medication and my weight loss. It must be impacting it. I think a few of you said in the comments it will be impacting it. It does all sorts of blood sugars and things like that. But yeah, will I pick it up again at some point? Potentially. But I want to go for a sustained break. I want to see what it does, and I want to see how my journey goes again now, because I do feel it's at a massive stall. I really am struggling, guys. And I know some of you will give me grief for this, but then there's so many of you back me up and say, you know, you're not here to be a fitness guru, Phil. You're just sharing your journey with us. And that's where I am right now in my journey. I'm struggling a little bit too much with drinking too much, which is making me make bad choices. I'm eating crappy foods. I'll go back to that into more detail in the weekly update. Most of us are going to have bad spells the longer on this, and I've been on it a long time now. I've been on it, I've been on since, was it November, December I started, I think, and it's now September, so it's a long time. We're coming up to, like, you know, nearly a year. And we'll all have bad spells, but I feel just speaking about this today has got it off my chest. I feel better already. I genuinely feel like a little weight's lifted. Like I've been keeping that from you guys, and I didn't want to be, but I was ashamed to be failing for all you lot. You know, you're all doing such a fantastic job. But anyway, that's enough about me now. Anyway, I've waffled on there. I hope you understand what I was talking about there, guys. But let's move on to a few things from last week. I mentioned the injection site as a tip last week about rotating it. A few of you reached out and you said, you know, definitely worked for me. I had side effects. I changed my injection site and it's worked a lot better. We knew that from covering this in previous updates, but it's good to go over these tips again because it was new to some people. Some people have commented and saying they'd never heard of this. Thanks, going to give it a try. Or some said I tried it last week and it did work after getting a tip from somewhere else. But yeah, it was good to get the confirmation again that this is a tip that does work. Rotate your injection site if you're getting side effects. We've also had a lot of people comment on switching from Mounjaro to Wegovy. It was either you're really intrigued yourselves and want to see what other people are saying, but we also had quite a lot of you who have switched. Now, some of you did in the first week or two, so it's a bit early to tell, but we've also got some accounts here. So for example, Claire, who's now on her third week of Wegovy after switching, she's had no different side effects, no different change with hunger, and still lost £2 a week on each of those weeks, so well done, Claire, on that. And we've got a more in-depth cover from Debbie here. Now, Debbie was, this is quite interesting, this one actually. Debbie was on Mounjaro for nearly a year and lost a fantastic 6 stone over that time, so well done firstly for Debbie for that. And secondly, thanks for passing this story on to all of us. But you switched from your 5 milligrams of Mounjaro twice a week. You were doing 2.5 milligrams, I'm assuming, over your week, split dosing, and you switched to 0.25 milliliters of Wegovy. I think it's milliliters, not milligrams. Might be wrong there, but yeah, 2.5 milliliters of Wegovy. And in week 1, Debbie, you said that there was no suppression at all. The food noise was bad, and you did feel a little bit uncomfortable when you ate larger portions, but that was about all it gave you. You said the second week it slightly improved. You know, there was a bit of less food noise, there was a bit less hunger, but you know, it was still not fantastic. Then you did say by week 3, it was finally starting to kick in. The suppression was becoming really good again. The food noise was really, really low. So that was really great to listen to. And Debbie's advice there to everyone who switches is give it time. It can take a few weeks to get used to, start to work effectively. So that's great to know that if we do go over and it's not working straight away, don't panic, stick with it, you know, use your best endeavors to try and get through those first early weeks, and then you should see the suppression and new food noise reducing as it does on Mounjaro. So thanks, Debbie, so much for that. Oh, and a side note from Debbie, she did say that apparently the half-life of Wegovy is 7 days and not 5 days like Mounjaro, so you shouldn't need to split dose or half dose or microdose on Wegovy. It should just last you the full 7 days. So that's a great little tip if that's true there, Debbie. Thanks again. I am very interested again to hear more of your comments though this week if you are switching or you have switched, just because as I said, I'm going to 7.5 milligram this weekend. That'll be 4 weeks on 7.5 milligram for me. That'll be the first time I've done 7.5 milligrams for a full 4 weeks, and I was intending to move to 10 milligrams on Mounjaro. The more I look at that price, guys, the more I'm thinking, should I switch to Wegovy? And the idea would be 7.5 milligrams Mounjaro for 4 weeks and then switch to the 10 milligram equivalent on Wegovy for the next 4 weeks afterwards and see how it goes. So please leave it in the comments if you switched and you got any tips and advice for me and for everyone else who's still considering and thinking about switching to Wegovy. Speaking of switching though, as always, I've got my link to my provider Void down below. They are a little bit more pricey when it comes to Mounjaro than most. It's because you're getting the full package and the benefits and, you know, the access to the clinicians and the dietitians and the AI food logging app, which gives you a really good breakdown there. So it's a little bit more expensive, but they also offer Wegovy and Wegovy longer term contracts now. So you can do like a 3 or 6 month spell with them. That reduces the price again over doing the monthly upgrades on Wegovy. And for the rest of this month, which is only 5 days left in September, if you use the link below and my code PHILYT, you'll get 30% off your first order. In 5 days time, that switches back to 25%. So get that extra 5% in now. If you're thinking about ordering or switching and you're thinking about using Void, my link's down below. Use my code and you'll get 30% off for the next 5 days. 25% off after that. Also below, as I mentioned last week, I'm going to start leaving them down there. There's some useful links to things like electrolytes. I think I've got some peppermint tea, things like that down there. I get a small commission off Amazon if you do buy anything through those links. Cost you no more. It just gets an extra few little pennies towards the channel, so I can buy some new lights and cameras and things like that, as I have been doing. So links down below for anything that might be quite useful for you to use on your journey. Speaking of helping the channel, I've still seen no sign of the £100 from YouTube for turning on channel memberships. They're still on. Don't join them, guys. I've got nothing to offer you. I just want the £100 off YouTube. I don't think I'll ever see that. We'll see. It'll stay on until they either tell me, sorry, you've not qualified, or here's your £100 check, Phil. I can't see that happening. Now, there's also a lot of fuss being made around something called Hype. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this. Hype is a new feature that YouTube said they've rolled out. I can't find it anywhere. I can't find this Hype thing anyway. So maybe I've not got it. Maybe it's not turned on. Maybe I've turned it on for the channel, but I can't see it on other people's videos. But what Hype is it allows you now to say, hype this video, so to speak, and it's for smaller channels. And what it does is then that gives them hype points, and the smaller your channel with less subscribers, the more hype points you get for a recommendation. And the idea is it'll push it to people who might like that type of video. So what they're doing is, instead of just using like their algorithm or whatever it is to push the video to people who might like this type of content, what'll happen is they'll go, oh, those people like that video and they're also recommending it. Let's push it to more people who like that type of video. So if you can see the hype function, guys, it might be next to the like, subscribe. I don't know exactly where it is myself. I can't find it. If it is a hype function there, can you click it, see what it does? Or just even if you don't want to hype it because you're not enjoying this video and you peed off with me after the whole alcohol thing at the beginning, just let me know it's there. If you could at least do that. You don't have to hype it unless you like it. I'm guessing that's why they've gone for that, maybe. Hype, like, maybe that's a new feature coming in the future, where likes will go and hype will replace it. But yeah, have I got the hype feature? Is it there? Can you click on it? Let me know, guys, in the comments. Thank you. Time now for the tip section, which again is going to be a basic tip, which most people know, but it's really good for new starters who might not. And then a more advanced or more unknown tip, shall we say. And I'm going to start this week with a nice simple one. That's if you get a little red, itchy, hot lump on your injection site, don't panic. People do get that. I get it sometimes, not all the time. But what you can do on that is a cold compress, you know, a tea towel with ice cube in it, or a wet, cold piece of tissue will even do. Just dab it on, keep it on there. Should help reduce the itchiness, and you can also use a topical antihistamine cream. Just rub that on, and hopefully that'll help you. Or you can just do like I do, and scratch it, and scratch it, and scratch it, and it'll get redder and redder and redder, and itchy and itches you, and that really annoys you. The more advanced tip this week, and it's not an advanced tip, it's one of my old favourites, and it is an oldie, but it is a goodie, and that's if you do suffer with side effects, mild, severe ones, and you don't already do this, try taking the injection just before you get into bed. I mean, literally take it, go up the stairs, get yourself into bed. The idea around this is you avoid some or all of those side effects potentially while you're sleeping. So that's a good little tip if you've never done that before and you do suffer like, you know, little nausea, little headache maybe, get yourself in bed and then hopefully you'll sleep through most of that the next day. But let's move on now to some highs and hellos to all of you. Hi to Dawn first this week, and Dawn has lost a fantastic 3 stone and she is now looking to maintain. Like so many of us though, she is switching to Wegovy because she can't afford the Mounjaro for maintenance. And you were asking about split dosing, Dawn. I'm hoping Debbie's little explanation before might solve that for you. The half-life of Wegovy, apparently, I've not checked into this, guys, but apparently it's 7 days as opposed to Mounjaro's 5 days, so you shouldn't need to split dose. It should last the whole 7 days for you and you shouldn't notice any food, hunger, or suppression drops over the 7 days of Wegovy as opposed to you do towards the back end of a week with Mounjaro, and that's why a lot of people do split dose. So hopefully that's a good enough answer for you, Dawn, and thanks again, Debbie, for that. Hello next to John, and John has lost a brilliant 4 stone since the end of May. You're now looking at maintaining yourself, John. You're thinking about switching to Wegovy again. It's a current theme that's going on. I think it's a theme that's going to run for a while. But you're a little bit concerned about the suppression might be as good, food might be good. Hopefully I've covered that so far in the previous part of this video, John. Suppression might take a while to kick in. Food noise might be high for the first week or two, but afterwards you should be fine. Or you could be looking like Claire and it might work straight away for you. Good luck and well done on your 4 stone, John. Hi Tina. Tina, what a fantastic result you've had over the last few months. So Tina's diabetic, I'm not, so I do struggle with this because I don't understand it as much, but I've been learning bits as this channel's been going. And Tina's initial bloods when she first started was 78. At the end of May, that dropped to 60 after she'd been on Mounjaro, and she was down to a fantastic 46 in her blood count this week, or blood sugars, or whatever exactly that is, guys. But to you diabetics, that means something. But Tina, you're really happy with it. It sounds like a fantastic result, unless low is bad, but judging by your message, it was a good result. So congratulations, Tina. Sounds like it's working fantastic and just shows you what this medication can do for those who are diabetic. Lastly this week, hello to my old mate on here, Paul, who has lost a fantastic 55 pounds now, mate. Congratulations, what a journey you've been on. I know you're still thinking now about getting an extra 14 pound off. If you want to, mate, the way you've done, you'll smash that in just a month or two. So go for it, Paul. Congratulations again, mate. It's been great to follow you along. That's it though for this week's Waffle Section. If you want to be mentioned or you've got something to speak about next week's Waffle Section, stick it in the comments, let me know where you're from, what you want to talk about, and you might get mentioned in next week's. Time now though for this week's community news. I'm going to start off this week's community news with a question from Dee. Now Dee's asking about your needles and what you do with your needles once you've used them. I must admit, Dee, I was really bad with this. Well, I potentially still will be. I used to just put mine in a plastic bottle or a plastic container that'd go in the recycle bin. I think I might be bad, and I'm guessing from what you're asking here, it shouldn't be going to a landfill potentially. Didn't know what else to do with it. I've got a sharps bin now that I've been provided when I moved to Voy. So my needles are in there. It's going to take a good while to fill it up. It's quite big, but I'll be honest, I have no idea what I'm meant to do with that once I'm finished. Do I take it somewhere? Is it a special place you can go? I was just going to throw it in the recycle bin again. I'm guessing this is really bad. If anyone knows what you should be doing, or is it different per area or different per county, or I'm not sure, but you have no idea what I should be doing with them. It's something I need to look into a bit more. But if anyone knows, there's a definitive answer where you can take your sharps bin, or your needles at least, let us know in the comments and give the answer to our question, please. Thank you very much. Now, the next one is from Cheryl, who is asking about microdosing or split dosing. Her question was how, when the needle or the medication only lasts 30 days once opened. Have I opened a can of worms up here? I always struggle with this, the 30 days, 90 days. I thought once it was opened, if refrigerated, you could store it for 90 days. Am I completely wrong? Do I always get this wrong? You're all screaming at the video or your phones or your tellies or whatever now saying, yeah, Phil, you always do. If I don't, and it was 90 days, I can't find that anywhere. So I can't find anywhere at all at the moment while Googling where it says 90 days is acceptable to be kept in the fridge. Everywhere I'm looking at saying 30 days. The manufacturer's changed to stop your split dosing. Has something happened, or have I got it wrong? Have the manufacturers now changed their advice and it's only 30 days once open, even when stored in the fridge? Or is this some weird Mandela effect I've started? I'm really puzzled because I was convinced it was 90 days once opened, if refrigerated, but I can't find it anywhere, guys. Can you confirm this to me? Am I losing the plot? Is it a Mandela effect? What's happening? Is it 90 days, 30 days? Leave it in the comments. Let Cheryl know, because I can't answer it right now because I can't find anything other that says 30 days. Now, finally this week is a story that you may have all seen in the news or read about, and that's Eli Lilly calling the UK the worst country in Europe for medication prices. Now, I won't go into this in too much depth because they are saying it's been echoed by other pharmaceutical company executives, and what they're saying is we pay so much less than any other developed country for medication that if we don't start upping the amount we pay, we're potentially going to lose out on new future medication. Now, that could be with Eli Lilly, it could be with other providers. But I'm just a little bit worried as the price hike in Mounjaro starts things to come in the UK. Are we going to start seeing price increase for other medication? I hope not. Things are expensive enough as they are. Everyone else will probably be looking at this if you're not from the UK saying, why should you get it cheaper? I agree. I don't know. I don't understand it. But for whatever reason, they've decided to go public with the fact that the UK pay far less than other developed countries for their medication. Hopefully that's not the start of a price hike for everything, guys. That is it for this week's community news, though. If you've got any other questions that you want answered, any tips, advice that you'd like to pass on to other people, anything that you think might be worth mentioning in the community news, stick it in the comments of this week's video and we'll try and cover it in next week's video. Time now then for my weekly update, but before I do, if you found any of this useful, insightful, or just fun, and you're not already, please like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you. So this week's update, I've covered a fair bit of it in the waffle section. You know, it's not good, guys. The diet-wise, it was good for most of the time, for breakfast and lunch. It was more the evening meals. It was chicken salad half the days, but then there was a pizza, there was fajitas, there was a burrito, yeah, one night, like a microwave burrito. But yeah, drinking 3 or 4 nights a week, this is what's resulted in a drink. And then later on, I think, oh, what do I have to eat? And because I've had a drink, influences my decision making and I'm making poor choices. Went over it, I won't cover it too much, it went over in the beginning, but it's something I'm going to start addressing from next week. So apologies, the diet's been absolutely atrocious this week, guys. Exercise wasn't really impacted, really. I got out for 3 or 4 long walks, 3 mile plus. There was 2 20-minute plus jogs, just 2 minutes they were. The arm exercise expander, whatever it's called, that's working well. I can feel that. I'm not sore, but I can feel it as I'm moving muscles, and it does seem to be having an effect. I will definitely make sure I get some before and after photos up in a few more weeks once I've done a little bit more. If you still want it, it's linked down in the description below. I think it was 27 quid off Amazon, guys, and it does seem to be working. So, but if you want to wait a little bit longer, I'll give it a further review and you can compare the before and after photos in a few weeks. That's great. I'm still on 5 milligrams, as I mentioned earlier on. It's 7.5 milligrams from this Sunday, so I'm looking forward to step up. I really need that suppression, guys. The food noise is not there, but just the suppression is just not working. But yeah, what has that done then? Time out for my weekly results. And after goodish food-wise, with some bad choices thrown in there, and exercise still going on, what's that done to the scales? So on Wednesday, the 17th of September, I weighed 16 stone 5 pounds. That's 229 pounds, or roughly 104 kilos. On Wednesday, the 24th of September, I weighed 16 stone 9 pounds. That's 233 pounds, or around 106 kilos, give or take. So that, guys and girls, is a 4 pound gain. I think that's the first time I've had a gain when it's not been a holiday or the break I took for 2 weeks. So it's my first proper gain. It's a large one. I might have had 1 or 2 before, but definitely not since my all-inclusive, definitely not my break. It's a big gain. I'm not going to get down over it. I'm going to stay positive. I know the reasons why. I'm not the type of person who does get down on things. I try and stay positive as much as I can. It might not sound much like it that way at the beginning of this video. I'm going to stay positive. I know it's going to be changing soon. I know I've got the heavy Saturday coming up with all day and night drinking, which is not going to be great for Sundays and how I'm feeling and what I'm probably going to want to eat then. Sunday night, I will be taking my jab though, and that's 7.5. So hopefully that food noise will ramp up come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll make good decisions all day. There'll be no drinking all week. I might drink while I'm away, but if not, I might be stopping it. So I'll either be stopping drinking this Sunday or the following Sunday, and that's going to be a good, lengthy, several-month break, hopefully, potentially over Christmas and everything again. Maybe indefinitely. That's what I'd like to get to, but as I mentioned before, it's so hard. You do feel like you're missing out if you don't drink. But yeah, I'll give you a little update next week as well about the Whoop Band. Not sold just yet, guys. It's still calibrating to me. It's giving me a lot of information. I don't know how useful it's going to be to someone like me. I think maybe if you're more into fitness, but I'll cover it more in depth in the next week or so. I've only got 2 weeks left on the trial, and it's either going back then or I pay for it. At the moment, it's going back, but we'll see how that goes. As always, though, if you want to discuss anything in a future video, there's a topic I've not covered, if you've got any questions or tips or advice for the community, stick it in the comments for this video and we'll cover as much as we can in next week's video. For now though, I hope you have found this useful, informative, insightful, or at least some fun. I know I've moaned a lot today, guys, but if you haven't already, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Thank you for watching. Keep up your hard work, even though I'm not keeping up my hard work. If I can do this most of the time, you can do this. We can all do this. I'll catch you next week. Thanks very much.